is the Kate Daly Show.
Cradles long been packed away, the clothes are growing tight, and the toys with which they used to play have been thrown out of sight.
Yeah, that's true. Now it's all no gender specific. It's just driving me crazy. Anyway, welcome back to the show. And of course, I've got Uncle Milty here and Dr. Pesta. So many things to say in this segment of the show, but there's a couple of things that I want you to comment on, Dr. Pesta. Number one, you were going to give an antidote on that, and I want you to do that. But I also wanted to ask you before you did that, colleges, what happens to colleges in the next 10 years?
There's going to be a huge explosion of closings of colleges.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're about to run straight into the demographic problem we've created for ourselves. They say by the year 2026, 2 years from now, that's when the number of young people going to college is going to be so much less because of a generation of families not having kids that it's going to be a huge crisis. Within 2 years, the apex of this is going to be, we're seeing it now. Colleges all across Wisconsin are shrinking. When I started teaching at my university in 2008, we had 13,000 students. Now we're less than 6 in just about 15 years. This is going to, the demographic crisis we've created is about to explode between 2026 and 2032. It's predicted that maybe 1 out of 4, maybe higher, colleges are going to go out of business because there's just not enough people.
So, okay, now I know how liberal colleges are. You're one of the very few conservatives at the college level, and you're like the unicorn amongst all of the other, college professors. And so I actually like it when kids are steering away and going and going into the trades and doing other things, right? Entrepreneurs and all kinds of things. And I know a lot of people are very supportive of that, but as far as that goes, you see college being an extension, like more of a mandated thing. Like they're going to twist that into a higher high school.
The left is not going to give up on education, not at the college level or the graduate level, because that's how they win their voters, right? That's why they've infiltrated the middle school and the elementary schools. What if Kamala Harris wins this election? To me, and I've said this to you before on your show, if she wins, I think that is proof that you're probably never going to see another Republican president in our lifetime. That means we've reached the status of uniparty, and it's progressive. And so I think what'll happen is they won't fix it. They're not going to fix what's broken about university. They're not going to go back to teaching subject matter. They're not going to go back to having free speech and all sides of an argument presented. What they will do is they will demand, and they will win, that 4 years of college will be like public school. It's the new high school. They'll have the kids from the time they're 4-year-olds, instead of losing them at 17 or 18 to the public schools, to the colleges. Then you require a 4-year degree and paid for by the taxpayers. That's what's coming down the road. And once they get that, you mark my words, grad school will be free too. That's what they'll do. It's college, like the public schools, is now just a propaganda place where they can fill the heads of pliant young kids with bad ideas. They're not going to surrender that. So they will prop up the universities the way have propped up the banks and the other organizations, right? The car companies were going to go out. Remember George W. Bush and Barack Obama having to bail them out? That's what they're going to do because it benefits them.
Ouch. Okay. Yeah. Uncle Milty?
And sadly, the way they're going, it will work out for them because you won't need really good educated doctors because they're not going to give you health care anyway.
Right.
You won't need lawyers because the state will be totalitarian. There's no legal system anymore. You don't need professions, of any type. You don't need journalists. You don't need authors. You don't need teachers. You just need people that will do as they're told. That's all you need.
Right.
Or you can be a YouTube
And don't
star.
forget.
Go ahead.
And don't forget that AI will be providing most of that. this is what the left-wing teachers don't realize, that what they're choosing is to eliminate themselves.
Yes.
In 15 years, you're not going to need public school, because even the most indoctrinated fourth grade liberal teacher isn't perfectly liberal all the time. But you know what is? Programmed AI is progressive all the time.
That is so true. You also had an anecdote. We were talking about too much information.
Yeah. So this goes back 25 years ago. I was working for at a college in Philadelphia. And one of my jobs was to go to high school classrooms to see how our graduates were teaching literature and English classes. So I had to do this once a month. I had to go to a high school and observe. So I went to this high school. It was a group of juniors, and they were supposed to be studying Shakespeare's Macbeth. Well, I sat back in the back of the room because I had to evaluate the teacher. And the first thing the teacher does is she turns off the lights and puts on a movie version of Macbeth. What? Now, I'm sitting in the back of the room. Every single head went down on the desk. They immediately went to sleep. There was not one exception. Pavlov. 25 kids. Yep. And the teacher didn't do anything, just sat there and watched them sleep. Then as soon as the movie was over, about half an hour of watching the movie, she asked some questions. He actually asked some questions about the students and wanted to know, asked the question, why are there, do you have any questions about what you saw? And one of the kids said, well, he kind of rubbed his eyes from sleep. Can you tell me why there are so many people named Earl in Shakespeare's world, right? And of course, the kid didn't realize that Earl is a title, right, for the nobility. So the kid asks, how come there were so many people named Earl back in that era? The teacher actually looked at the kid and said, because it was a very popular name for boys. Right?
Stop it.
No, and then this blew my mind, right? Then this was after Columbine, so all the classrooms had phones in them, old phones on the wall with cords. Young girl raises her hand and says, "Can I make a phone call?" And the teacher says, "Oh, sure, go ahead." So this kid goes up to the front of the classroom while he's trying to teach about boys named Earl, and she starts dialing the phone, and then it's got a long cord. She takes the cord out of the classroom and closes the door, and you could see her through the window. She's talking to one of her friends and just carrying on, and I could hear that they're just giggling and laughing while she's on the phone when she should be in class. This was 25 years ago, and this young man teaching high school was oblivious to all of it.
Oh my gosh. I don't have words. I also wanted to ask you about the Rachel Levine thing, the man on the street, when the kids were asked.
There was a video that was made about a week ago about a man who had a dog. Kind of remember the Triumph, the Wonder Dog, that little puppet. Yes. It was a variant of this. So some guy was interviewing people outside the Democrat convention, and he was showing on a screen a picture of Rachel Levine, the Health and Human Service Director, the trans woman, right? The bad-looking man in a wig.
Very
and then they showed a picture of J.D. Vance on the other side in his Marine uniform. And the question was to the people, which of these two pictures is weird? Rachel Levine in her Admiral costume, or J.D. Vance in his military Marine uniform? And all the liberals said, oh, absolutely. The weird one is J.D. Vance. Ooh. Then they showed a picture of a transgender. Remember the bald guy, the trans bald guy who stole all the luggage?
Yeah.
That was they showed a picture of him in his dress with his lipstick, and a picture of J.D. Vance with his wife and a baby in their lap. And they asked them, which of these two pictures is weird? Every one of the Democrats said the nuclear family was weird because it's an illusion. It doesn't exist. At least with the bald dude, you know who you're dealing with, right? This was across the board, this was the answer.
We'll be right.
Wow.
We'll be right back. More with Duke Pesta and Uncle Milty. Whoa. We'll be right back.